The wall was always in my life. Today it is so hard to explain it to young people. It's like a science fiction movie. And of course, this was completely a different world. My name is Tim Eisenlohr. I'm born in 1973 in East Berlin. My parents really tried always to empower us for critical thinking and to ask questions about everything. I think I'm kind of privileged to grow up in this kind of family. In the 80s, there was a lot of problems with the environment, not just in the GDR, also in Europe and worldwide. We had acid rain, we had nuclear weapon tests, and we had really outdated power plants, and it was also not allowed to publish data about air pollution. This was a secret. This caused a lot of anger also in me because it was so unlawful. I was 14 years old. I was really interested. So I met people from this environmental library in a Svelde room in a church. And the idea of this library was to educate people, to give a lot of people in the DDR the possibility to inform themselves in a more freely way. So I went there because I was really some kind of nerd, just without computer, but with a lot of books. I asked the members of the environmental library, can I be part of this library? In the beginning, they were really suspicious because maybe I'm a spy or something like this. On the other hand, I was a 14-year-old boy, and it was a little bit strange that someone in this age wanted to be part of this. So I was allowed. In the GDR, we had a private life and a public life. In the public life, in the school or at work, you was always aware that someone maybe is listening.
Der Spezialist öffnete mittels Nachschlüssel das Bundbadschloss um 9:10 Uhr.
The idea of the Stasi was to spy.
Die Wohnung bestand aus 2 kleinen Räumen, Wohn- und Schlafzimmer, sowie aus Küche, Bad, Abstellkammer und Flur. Es war nicht zu übersehen, dass sie von einem Junggesellen bewohnt wurde. Ordnung und Sauberkeit ließen zu wünschen übrig.
The officials know about this environmental library and also the Stasi. It was quite interesting for the Stasi to have something like the environmental library because this was a meeting point for so many opposition groups. Of course, we had also in our environmental library some spies, but this was quite normal. In all these opposition groups, there are some spies. Of course, it was forbidden to print a newspaper if you're not official permit to do this. But it was allowed for the church to have some kind of community newspaper. The church don't interfere in politics and state don't interfere in church affairs. It was November 1987, about midnight, and we were printing this newspaper from the environmental library. And God, I didn't know at this time that my adult colleagues planned to print another newspaper called The Grenzfall. This newspaper was really forbidden. The Stasi knocked on the door. They said, stop the machines. Turn to the wall, raise your hands. Of course, we all were arrested.
Teilung der Berliner Staatsanwaltschaft wurden am Mittwoch im Keller eines Nebengebäudes der Zionskirche 7 Personen auf frischer Tat bei der Herstellung staatsfeindlicher Schriften ertappt.
We were about 7 people. Still, I was interrogated about 10 or 12 hours. I denied to cooperate, to answer the question, because my parents told me, if you are arrested, you have to be silent until your father is there. Of course, they tried to ask questions, but I said no. I was not so afraid how I should be. I don't know why. I think it was because I was reading so much about resistance groups in the Nazi time. I knew for me, I'm not going to be killed. Maybe there's some kind of violence or something like this, but I will survive this. I thought if the resistance in the Nazi time did something like this, I can also do it. And also I was convinced that I'm on the right side.
Nach Razzia und Festnahmen eine Welle von Solidarität.
Because our constitution in the GDR had all these rights like free speech and that you can print newspapers. All this was in our constitution.
Am Abend nach der Polizeiaktion eine Demonstration.
We had all these rights on the books, but it wasn't not possible to use these rights.
Sie wehren sich, verweisen auf in der Verfassung garantierte Rechte.
I was really angry.
Die Belagerten gaben nicht auf. Sie machten ihren Widerstand weithin sichtbar. Ihre Kirche zum uneingreifbaren Ort für Protestversammlungen.
And so this all suppressed my fear.
Die Friedensbewegung schöpft neuen Mut, neue Hoffnung. Ihr Selbstbewusstsein wächst. Man gibt sich besonnen, aber deutlich in der Sache.
Als Feuerwehr auf das Gelände der Kirche eindringt, um das Transparent zu entfernen, gehen Stasi-Beamte gegen Journalisten vor.
Everyone in the GDR thought, of course, they will shut down this place. But in fact, there was also no proof of our guilt. I was released and the environmental library stayed open until the end of the GDR. This was a big wake-up call for the opposition to do more. The state isn't so powerful anymore.
Schließlich Freilassung der letzten Inhaftierten.
I think in my life it was really important to have this experience. You do something and it has some kind of result, of some kind of consequences. Young people today who are going to be activists or to be involved in politics are really frustrated about there is no feedback of my doing. And at this time, there was a big feedback of our doing. Of course, we are not responsible on our own for the fall of the wall, but we was part of this change in our country. And if you experience something like this as a person, that you are part of such a big change, you are convinced that you can change something, that it's possible to do a change in the world. What problems we have today, I think it's really important to bring back this moment, this idea. If you're brave, if you have endurance, and if you have the right ideas and you find other people to help you, you can be part of a change.